In case you don't know who I am, sometimes I don't even know who I am, David Perry, and Bill Chakowski has asked to step down as president of the council for personal reasons. So I appeared at this meeting. Next thing you know, I found this thing around my neck. You're now the president. So, but
acting president.
Acting president. Thanks very much, my wife. My wife wants to make sure I'm acting or not.
Let's gotta make sure we put that in the title.
But we're all meeting here today. In fact, we're really running a little late. We normally have our meeting in December, but there's been so much going on with the church. So much that Pastor JR has been doing. My God, trying to get a hold of him is a tough thing to do these days. Between classes and all the things that are going on, and the visions he has for the church, as he mentioned this morning, has really turned around. And we're so blessed to have him as our pastor. And just the word that comes, not just reading, but from the heart. All his sermons are from the heart. And boy, I'll tell you, we're all inspired. When we leave today, when we leave any Sunday, we're always got more than we came into church with, thanks to Pastor.
Amen.
Two things we're going to talk about today. First of all, I also think it's important we recognize Trudy, who's done a superb job. There's been so many folks here that have volunteered for the church, and she's been here since how long, Trudy? At least a year of volunteering. 5 years?
5 years.
Well, one little mark gets me.
I'm paid volunteer.
Well, that's
That's what I want to make sure. I'm paid volunteer. But there's been so many others that have volunteered for the church that it's hard to go through all the folks. But, two things we want to talk about today. One is the treasurer's report. Cindy Hall, bless her heart, has done such a super job as treasurer for the church, keeping track of everything, the dollars. If she finds a dollar missing, she looks for it. I mean, she is so dedicated to the job. I think it's very important. That's also one thing, right? So the second part will be Pastor JR. Giving us a vision of what he sees for the future for Messiah. The last thing I'll say before I turn over to Cindy is one of the things that's been tossed around with the council, also tossed around with some of the members of the congregation, is a name change. As you know, we have 3 services. We have the traditional morning, we have the contemporary at 10:30, and the Hispanic church at 12:30. So one of the things we're tossing around, and just strictly tossing it around, we'd like to have comments from you guys, is change the name from Messiah Lutheran to Messiah CIA Lutheran. Just something to talk about, think about, and approach any of the council members or elders if you have any comments or concerns. We're here for you. So.
I think it was just going to be Messiah CIA.
Oh, not Messiah CIA.
Well, it's still going to be Lutheran Church.
Right.
But
Messiah
and the
CIA.
Missouri Synod.
Right, exactly. So just kind of think about it, if you guys are in favor of it or not. Any comments, as they say, let each one of us know. So without further ado, I turn it over now to Cindy.
most of the paperwork that I've given you, I know it seems a little overwhelming, is just for you to take home and browse over. The first is the treasurer's report. It's a single page. This is what the council gets every month from me, telling them, what our monthly expenses and income were, and what our bottom line was for the month, and the balance of each fund account. Each one of these different fund accounts represents a different bank account, and it is balanced with the bank and with the general ledger before it's presented to council. So this is just for your information, let you know what type of information they're getting monthly. This is what Julie is also putting in the messenger, so that you know where we stood each month, if we're meeting our goals as far as our budget. The second one is a 5-page report, and it's actually 3 printed pages. But this is the budget versus actual for last year. Again, this is just for your information if you want to know how the money was spent last year. And you can see that we did live within our budget last year, which is a beautiful thing.
Amen.
We paid $15,000 back that had been borrowed the previous year to the building fund.
Wow.
We had borrowed in 2010. There had been almost $50,000 spent out of the building fund just for general fund purposes. And we have paid back $15,000 of that in 2011 and still came in under budget. So we're very grateful for your contributions. We're especially grateful for those of you who fly north for the summer and keep us in mind while you're away, knowing that we are still here doing God's work and taking care of His house. The most important thing, the part that we need to vote on today, is the proposed budget. This is basically taken from the previous sheet in what our actual expenses were for 2011. And a few of the items we've marked up a little bit, 5–10%. We expect utilities and those type of things to go up, as they always do. And as we grow and get busier, things like the phone bills will rise a little bit. The major differences between the budgets is last year we had budgeted, I don't remember what it was, $12.50 a month. It was about 16 something for pastor's salary. And then in addition to that, we had a $10,000 donation given to supplement his salary. This year, the total salary is being budgeted, not hoping for a $10,000 donation to help pay his salary. He was, in my opinion, and in many others that I've talked to, horribly underpaid for what the time and work that he does for us and to grow our church and to bring the word of the Lord to the community and to let people know that Messiah is alive and well. The other differences this year that we're doing a little different, since we did have about 21,500 left last year. After everything was in the books, we are holding 10,000 of that from that fund balance and plugging it into this year's budget for advertising. We did not meet our advertising budget last year. We were under budget on that. However, this year we plan on doing a lot more advertising. So we're budgeting $10,000 for the funds coming in this year, and we're bringing $10,000 from those leftover funds from last year. So we'll have a budget of $20,000 for advertising. That will include packets that can be handed out to visitors, letting them know about Messiah and the ministries here, or that can be given out in the community, as well as radio spots, newspaper spots, some of the little handouts in the community. And this year we intend to use every penny of it to get the word out there about who Messiah CIA is and where we're at and when they can come worship with us. We also have requested many times for anybody who's giving ThriveNet Choice money to be designated to our church. We've asked, if you have anything specific that you want done with it, please let us know, and we've never had a response on that. So this last year, I just kept track of those funds, and also memorial funds, same thing. We say, if you have something specific you want done with it, let us know. No one's let us know. We didn't want to just dump it into the general fund because we do have a budget that we try to stay within, and we are successful doing so. This year, unless we hear from you on the ThriveNet Choice funds, we have started a new line item, which is grounds beautification. And any money that comes in from ThriveNet Choice, we've plugged everything that came in last year, and anything that comes in from this point on for 2012 for memorials or ThriveNet Choice funds will go for grounds beautification. The grounds, we have some really, really old shrubs, and no matter how you prune them, they still look pretty sticky and bare. And we really want to spend some money letting people know from the road that we're alive and well and growing. The other thing is we also had a large donation last year from a member, and it was $4,000, and 500 of that person designated for the new entry, the tile, which more than paid for that, and we had other funds designated for that because we thought it was going to cost a lot more. We also plan to move all of that to this year for our new entryway rebuild. The total refacing of the front of the church and the drive, what do you call it, the canopy, sorry. And so we also, Pastor, I hope I'm not cutting into what you're going to talk about, but the church desperately needs repainting, and it needs some structural fixes in the stucco and the exteriors before it's repainted, or it's just going to fall back off again. So the person who donated the $4,000 has this morning given us permission to use the other $3,500 towards that painting project. So, yes, thank you. So we were starting out with probably about $4,500, and Pastor thinks he just might be able to get supplies. The labor is going to be done primarily by church members, so watch for information on that. We are going to immediately, though, put on our wish list for the entryway. Pastor is getting proposals for estimates on the cost. He's getting the blueprints drawn up. So please keep that in your thoughts and prayers if you are able. If you've been holding back because you weren't sure whether the church was going to survive or not, the church will survive. So if you would care to make pledges towards that now, so that we know where we stand and how much more we need to raise, or if you'd just like to give as we start moving on it, like I said, please keep that in your prayers. Pastor feels that getting from the street looking like we're alive will really help bring more people. The other thing is the sign in the front. Literally, you could go like that and push it over. It's in dire straits. It is really, really bad shape, to the point of probably almost being dangerous. And so that will also immediately go on our wish list. If we can get those three things done, and he'd like to get it done this, sooner rather than later, hopefully by late summer, completion on all three projects. So with the donation on the paint, that'll get going right away. And if we can get something going on the sign right away and then finish up the front remodel during the summer, that would be beautiful. Carla?
Cindy, I just want to throw in here, Thrivent had a change this year. It hasn't all been done, but it's pertaining to what you're talking about, the Caring Communities funding, not the choice, will be able to be used for the congregations. So this is a great time that we're having this change, that if we're going to be doing beautification, that Thrivent may be able to match monies.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I want to let you know that.
That's wonderful. If you can get us more information on
Yeah, well,
council
I'm
meeting,
working
that
on
would be
this stuff
wonderful.
now. So.
Does anyone have any questions about their proposed budget? Yes, Elaine?
Under miscellaneous for pastor's education, it's a new item. It says from the building fund.
Yes, that is where all of pastor's education money was put when it was given and designated. There was $90,000
Yes.
and it was put in the building fund.
Oh,
So rather than actually physically moving money, we just wrote a check and put it in that fund to start him up so that he has a card, a debit card, for when he has to get gas to go to school, and also, the actual classes and tuition will be paid out of that. And we'll just keep replenishing that so that he doesn't have to pay out of his own pocket and then get reimbursed for gas and food on the road and that type of thing.
He won't have any student loans.
Yeah.
we got that $90,000 when CCLS disbanded.
That's what they
So
were
I didn't know
Yes.
if it was in a special fund or
No,
what,
it's
or how much.
sitting in the
left.
building fund.
Yeah, because I did ask him one time how that money was going, if he needed any more, and he said everything was all right.
Yes,
So that $90,000 has,
we
probably
still
has
have
what,
it.
like
Yeah,
We're
so
working on it.
75?
yeah, there's 5,000 in the one account, the 85 still in the building fund.
Okay. Just curious, thank you.
No problem.
I have a question.
The only other thing that I discussed with Pastor when I met with him yesterday to give him my final printout from what we had discussed at last week's council meeting is that we do still have the deficit to the building fund from 2010 and prior. There was money being used out of the building fund in prior years, and when I became treasurer last year, I only went back 1 year to figure out to the penny what was owed to the building fund. Because we are living here and now and hopefully looking towards the future, I'd also like to propose that we start fresh and not worry about what was owed in prior years and funnel that money into our current growth and our current projects here to move forward, rather than continually living in the past with prior, basically, to my knowledge, there's not anyone that was on that administration from pastor on down that are still here in the administration. And rather than living, behind the eight ball continually, that is something that I'd like to propose, is that we just move forward. And rather than having the $15,000 that I put in the proposed budget to go back towards the building fund, that we use it for current building projects with the congregation's approval.
I have one other question, not what you're speaking of, but the printout under office expenses. What is the bank charges? Where does that come from?
We get charged on our bank account based on how many checks we write, how many transfers we make.
Even though you're nonprofit?
Yes, unfortunately.
Which bank is that?
That is Wells Fargo now.
Wells Fargo.
Used to be Wachovia.
All the banks are doing the same thing too.
Yes.
Most of the banks.
Yes.
For the checking accounts, you mean?
Yes.
Because I remember the credit union for almost 30 years.
Credit union stuff.
Yeah.
The Women of Messiah have their money in Fifth Third, and there's no charge whatsoever, no matter what. What are charges now?
There's a $2 charge from Fifth Third, but if you go and pick up the statement personally and not have it mailed,
It costs
like
25 cents to mail it, right?
yeah. So if you have it mailed, they charge you $2. So I changed it. Don't mail it, and I'll just pick it up myself.
But I was just curious.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But we've talked about looking into changing banks, especially now that we're going to need all new signatures with the changing of
I would
books.
shop around.
Oh, and my last announcement is I did find out Thursday night that my term is expired. Thank you very much. Yes.
So will we be putting any money into the building fund at all then?
As it comes in from new donations, yes, every month.
But you have to specify for building fund?
Yes.
Because there's not going to be, like, if we wipe that slate clean and we're not putting money back into it, is there like a certain amount, is there something in here that says?
See, what she's trying to say is that from 2010 back, they were borrowing money. And X amount of money. So from 2011, we were able to pay $15,000 back,
Right.
and still we have to pay about $35,000
We still
more.
have about 35.
Yeah. So that fund will still exist, but instead of looking back, we want to put money there to look forward.
Right.
To build the new things that we need to build, to fix the church, instead of holding back, because otherwise we have to pay that first before we think to do something new to the church, and the church need paying attention now.
A facelift.
Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
So we're really not thinking about building a new church in the future necessarily, we're just kind of beautifying the one that we have.
No, yes, we will be building a church out in the back, there will be a building.
No, but what he's saying is, first priority is to keep this building from falling apart.
Right.
Right. And to make us from the roadside not look like we're dying, but like we're
Moving
modernizing
forward.
the way the church looks.
These are immediate plans. The building of the new church and the new facility are not so far down the future,
But they are
pastor's
future.
plans, it's within a few years. So no, that has not been dropped. And no, we do not discourage people from writing on their envelope, X general fund, X building fund. Anything that has come in new in the last year that was designated building fund went into the building fund in addition to the 15,000 we paid
I
back.
got you.
Okay? So yes, the building fund still exists, so we want it to thrive, we want it to grow. We just don't want to stop from, you know, for 2 or 3 years, just hold still and try to catch up, you know? We want to move forward.
Yeah. 'Cause I know a lot of the churches have a nice big park, I mean, our parking lot is so small, I didn't know if there's anything, because a lot of times a bigger parking lot looks more inviting because there's a lot easier space to get in and stuff. No one sees us parking in the grass.
Well, you know what, that would help if all the regular members parked in the back, and then we'd have room for visitors.
But
Well,
you're right,
the only
you're
problem
right,
with that
Jean,
is
the big
then the
parking
church is
lot
empty.
looks inviting.
Unfortunately, the bigger the parking lot looks, the more, I don't know, it's weird.
It is more inviting, it
Yeah.
doesn't look like you're a closed congregation, I think, when you have a bigger parking
I
lot.
actually
kinda
brought
small.
information a
Yeah.
couple years ago
But not a
on
big empty
talking about
Yeah.
businesses in general,
Mhm.
you know, having small parking lots versus larger parking lots.
It's kind of in the, you know.
Yeah.
People think there's no room for me there.
Right.
Yeah, they're already full.
Yeah. And Pastor, in addition to the sketches of the new part of the building, also has some really wonderful ideas about the circle out front in its current state
Right,
versus the new state. So the whole thing is going, you know, the plans are for the whole thing to be more inviting and more convenient for the current members also.
Yeah.
You have a question?
Yeah, are we forgiving the embezzlement thing then too, or no?
That was voted on last year, and yes, it was forgiven.
Yes, did that.
That is,
Do I hear a motion that we accept the budget as written by Cindy Hall?
Motion.
I so move.
Okay, seconded? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. The only other thing I want to make sure that we also do right now is that all those in favor of having Cindy Hall as our treasurer for the next 10 years. Opposed?
illegal voucher, never make the record.
I'd like to now, thank you very much, Cindy. Beautiful. I'd like to now present our Pastor JR, who is now going to give us his vision of the future for the CIA.
How many of you have this sketch? I got one over here, and whoever has one, it's okay. Just take it that, I'll talk to you in reference to that. Few minutes. The church have to move forward.
Amen.
Whatever happened X amount of years back, if it was negative, we leave it in the past, we make the line, and we look for the future. And that's what we've been talking about, all of those things. And that's why there's some things that we should just close the chapter and then move forward. In reference to the funds, to pay that fund, we need that money now to go to the future. Because if we put the money to pay that, it's not that we owe a bank, it's not that we owe X thing. The bank account is going to be open, the fund is going to be open, but to put us into the future. So if we take X amount of money, we put it in there for the past, then we have to stop thinking about the future until we do that. So my advice as a business person is, if we don't owe that money to any bank, anybody else, let's make a line and then let's start putting that money to use it now to build for the future, to build for our young people, to build for new couples that are going to come to town, that they see this church. And I don't know if you noticed that today we have about 10 visitors, right?
Yeah.
Well, last week I received a call. I've been in contact with one radio station in town, and you know, they come to me, so I went into the punch. I got a good spot in radio, and we get a bunch of spots Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays for this month. And last week we have visitors. This week we have about 10 visitors. Those visitors, most of the time, they listen to radio. And this year, This year, we want to do different things. We want to go to the newspapers, we want to go to magazines, we want to go to different things. But also, there's something that Messiah doesn't do that I would like to implement in my vision. And it's when we have people coming in, we have the red book, good. They put their name in there and so forth. We need something more inviting too. We need something that they can take home. So we have been doing that for CIA for so long, and we just this year changed to something new. And I want to present this to you because I think when visitors leave, they leave with something. Now we got this package, and this package, this is the church. This is the name of the church, the ministries, what we do over here. Okay, a gift, all right, this so they can put it somewhere close where they remember our church even when they go up north, something that encouraged them, okay, and then the ministries are back here, the business card is here, and when they take this home, they always will remember the church, and this will go with this, all right, when they come to the door, we'll give them this, they'll put their name, their address if they want to, but at least instead of us asking them what is your name, where you come from, when they come in, they fill this, then they give it to the person that is giving the announcements, and they will say their name, and they will be at peace. And then we stay with this, and we send a letter to them. And we keep in touch, even if they live somewhere else. Because most of these people might come back over here next year and stay with us. Or maybe they move down here and they say, this is a nice church. I would like to give it a try and so forth. This is probably look little, but it's not. Because when I came to this building, I came with my family and nobody else. And doing these little things grew our church. Doing the advertisement in this radio station have allowed us since December. If you notice, Christmas Eve, we have the church packed.
Amen.
But here's what is interesting. I put a commercial for a week, left and right, for that service. 40% or maybe 50% of Messiah was not here. 50% of CIA was not here, but the church was packed. So that means that if we keep doing this, we have to do it constantly, our church will see increase in people coming to see our church. You have to remember, people will come to see our church and then they will take a decision. The important thing is, in that part, it's not the decision in the future, it's that they come one time. And then that first impression is extremely important for them to take a good decision to come back to our church. Alright? So just keep that in mind because we need, as a pastor, I want you to grow spiritually. And we are doing that. We're teaching, we're preaching, we come over here Mondays. We are doing activities. Last year we did a few activities outside. I think in October we did the fest, the fall fest. And I wasn't here because I wasn't in school, but it was really good. In December, we did a couple of services out there. Thanksgiving, we did a service out there. And from those services, we got people coming into the church. And saying that, let me tell you what Dave was saying in reference to changing the name to Messiah CIA. I know that doesn't sound like attractive to you. It might not. This is just something that we're throwing out. Why? Because the board is asking me when we are going to merge the two congregations. And there's a big problem. The big problem is name. Everybody has their own culture. Messiah have the culture of Messiah Lutheran Church. CIA have the culture of CIA Church, and so forth. And I haven't bring this to CIA yet. We are bringing this to you first to see what you think. Because if we are going to merge, we have to merge the politics of the church. And that's big, because we have to bring a CPA, so the CPA can let us and lead us how we can merge the churches in the economy, the finances, and everything else. It's going to take a while. But everybody has to be in agreement. In agreement how we are going to develop. The service at 9 o'clock is not going to change. As the service at 10:30 or 12:30 is not going to change. The service are going to stay with the same format. And that stay like that. It's just that we need one politic. Well, right now we're running the church with two politics. CIA politics and Messiah politics. And we need to put all those things together. We need to put the funds together. Yeah, we want to build a huge building back there. Amen for that. I want to do that, and probably, and I'm going to show what we did this past year, so you see that we have done a lot of good things in 2011. We didn't sit down. We worked hard, and we accomplished a lot of things. But before we get to that building, we need to get to fix our garden, fix our entry, fix our sign, all of those things that are going to invite people to come in and say, you know, this is a church that is going to change us. We might want to go over there to see what's happening. People don't want to go where the church is dying. That when they go and they see 10 members, they don't want to be there. They want to go to a place that the church, even if it's small, but it's packed. And they see new programs. This year was hard because I lost a lot of people. They moved to Chicago and some other places, and I was short-handed. And because I was short-handed, my wife had the accidents. The other person that helped me a lot, the wife, is in the hospital for 5 months. So I have to go around and do different things because I want the church to keep going, running, and doing things. And we were able to do it, and we were very successful. Okay? Now, 2012, we need to be successful, not in the same level, but in the next level, in another dimension, that the dimension of us doing the bigger thing. What we did last year, I'm going to show you what we did last year. Check this out.
Pastor, can I say something?
Yes.
I'll tell you, there was a couple that sat behind me a few weeks ago, and we got talking, and they said, we came here first to Messiah, and then we went to the different other Lutheran churches, way out to Marco, to the different ones in town here, and we're back here, and we're going to stay here because you are the friendliest church. You all say hello, you hug each other, and they made it quite clear. That's why they came back, because we showed our love to people when you say, greet each other.
That's the first impression. We might not have all the money, but if we have love, they'll come back.
It's the truth.
Yeah. Now, what we did last year, I'm going to tell you what we did last year. Last year, we did the lights in the parking. We had a parking that was dark at night time. Okay? And we put new lighting in there. Now you come at 6:30 on, and it's light up completely. Alright? And now people can see that the church is alive because it's light up at night time. We built the youth room back there. And that room could have cost about $5,000 to build it. We spent about not even $100 to build the room. Why? Because most of the people were from the church, and most of the materials we tried to just to gather among us. We pressure cleaned the church about 3 times. We painted doors. We replaced the sacristy door. That door was gone before I got here. We stripped the floor and we waxed the floor.
Twice or 3 times at least. I don't know, 3 times.
Yes. The former pastor's office was redone as a nursery room. We bought a computer with all the programs. The entry, the tile was done. The memorial garden was redone. And we have done so many other things. And if you notice, in most of the projects that we did, we didn't spend a lot of money. Most of the money came from donations here and there, and then we gathered the people to work in the church. Now, I made an agenda last year, but my agenda was built to last 2 years. By October, what I was supposed to do in the 12th month, we did it by October, it was done completely. And then I have almost 3 months just to rest. Now we're going to start. And we have the bigger projects. We want to do the entry. How many of you have this? All of you have this? Okay. Now, this is how our church is going to look if we build this. I talked to the architect Friday. Now we're going to move for the blueprints. I called already a few companies for them to come over here and give me a price. We need to move. You know. Can I be sincere with you? And I don't want to be. I don't want to put this burden in somebody else. But it's just for you to know how business works. When I talked to the architect, I talked to him about 3 months or 4 months ago. And I said, this is what I want to do. A month went by, he didn't call me. Second time I went. The third time, I went to his office. I sit down, I said, I need to do this. You are the architect, and so forth. A month later, I called him again. And you know what he told me? He said to me, well, the reason that I haven't moved is because this have happened many times already where you guys call me, tell me this is what I want, this is what we'd like to do, but you never follow through. And I stopped and said, listen, I want you to understand, I'm a new pastor, I'm a new administration. If I ask you something, I want you to do it because I want to see it done. If not, I'll go somewhere else.
Amen.
It's just simple as that. And I said, if I'm telling you to do it, you're going to get paid, and then we can do partnership. Well, a week later, I have this. All right? He called me this past Friday. I didn't even call him. He called me this past week and said, Pastor, what are we going to do next? I said, well, I'm talking to the church, and what we're going to do is, I want you to start putting together the blueprint, so you can do the blueprint, so I can get some prices and so forth. So this week, I'm going to be meeting with him, because this needs to go forward. You want to move? You want the church to
Survive?
go? So, no, we are past of surviving. Surviving is when you're dying. We're not dying no more. This was last year. Now we're going to different stages.
Next level.
Yeah. And what that means is you need to get involved. And I heard this. And I want to be honest with you. Because I'm trying to be honest, so when you get out of here, you know what I'm saying. I have heard some people say, well, there's some people in church that they're not giving because they have not seen things happen in the church and so forth. Well, I just showed you that last year we made a lot of things. Now we want to change the entry. In fact, we want to change where, what's the name of where the cross is?
The garden.
That garden in the front. We want to change that. We want to replace all of that. We want to replace the sign. We want to paint the church. We want to do all of that. And my time frame is summer. By summer, I would like to have all of these things done. Okay? Because by October, people start coming back again. And I want the people that are leaving in April, I want them to see something done already. Okay? This is for us. This is not for pastor. Tomorrow, I might be gone. I'm not going to go nowhere, but somebody else come and they know that this is a working church. We might not have the millions, but I know that we have the resources. Okay? Once we do this, my next step, and I talked to the architects already, and because we have the blueprints, is to look for the funds to build back there. Because we need that. There's no question about it. If we want to grow this church, we need a bigger place. The parking, I have been thinking about the parking because that's too small and people don't want to go and park. Have you noticed sometimes we have people parking in the grass over here? They don't want to go back there. But if we use something, the other part, to do few parking, maybe they come in and then they go back and they don't see the difference. But we need to do something. And we need to do something us, for ourselves. Not just to invite people, but for us to say, we have worked and we have done it. Okay? So now, if you want to donate money for the entry, for the sign, for the painting, for whatever it is, we are going to use the money very, very wise. And you are part. It's not that you're giving the money and you are not going to know what happened. She's a good treasurer. You know, Dave is here. Listen, I got a good group of people working with me. I'm the person that I like to run, and they know already. Right, Dave? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like to run, and I like leaders running with me. But if my leaders don't run with me, I'm going to keep running. And there's two choices over here. Or you say, Pastor, you run too fast, you need to go somewhere else. Or Pastor, we're going to run with you. And if you cannot pick up paper, you can give paper in green. It's as simple as that. Okay? And let's make it happen. Let's make it happen for your kids, for your grandkids. I'm not building for me no more. Somebody built for me. I'm enjoying what somebody built for me. I want to build for the future generations. For people that need to hear Christ. It's not the matter of building a building over here. It's a matter of building the house of the Lord.
Amen. Amen.
You know? If you go to the book of Haggai, this group was sent from Babylon to Israel, to Jerusalem, to rebuild the temple, and they went and they were rebuilding their homes. They were working, and God didn't like that. God says, you are building your houses, you are working for yourself, but you are not building my house. And God called their attention for that. So now, we have a great church over here that many people, and this is what I heard, I'm sorry I have to tell you this, many people have said, point out to Messiah Lutheran Church, why Messiah doesn't grow, why Messiah, well, that's over. That is over. We are growing. That is over. We are building. That is over. But you need to believe in the vision. in what we want to do over here. If we do it, believe me, when this 2012 finish, you'll see a different church over here, and so is the community. Believe in what God has put in our hands, because I believe in that.
Amen.
All right? And you'll see that the change is going to be great. Finish with this. Messiah CAA. Think about the name. And if you have another name, if we have to change the whole name, we'll change it to have one politics, to have one church for different nations. But if you like to stay with Messiah and the Spanish want to stay with CIA, we can have it. And then we will have more strength into what we're doing over here. Amen?
Amen.
I have just one thing, and that's probably the first, people are just getting in a hurry. When people call and answer the phone, I've actually sent people over here, or had them call for the early service, and they were only given the CIA service time. They weren't given any of the other.
Both secretaries can lease,
I think
like the Arts Messiah needs to
need
tell
to
them
specify
12:30 and.
what service are you looking for, and not just assume that they want to go to one or the other.
Or maybe not ask them what service they're looking for, but provide them, and this is what we.
Yeah,
Provide the
exactly.
whole list, give them the opportunity, because
Well-
I don't know what the person is looking for.
Well, what we have done, and we took care of that already, Trudy changed the message, I think last week, right? And in fact,
Christmas.
in Christmas, and in fact, yesterday, I decided to sit down, I was in my office, and I decided to dial the number of Messiah, and she did an excellent job. I mean, she detailed all the services at the time and so forth. If you hear the commercial in radio, you will hear that it's detailed Messiah 9 o'clock traditional, and 10:30 and 12:30. And so
What
forth.
radio station are you talking about?
89.5, Praise FM.
Praise FM.
89.5.
I know.
Praise FM.
Praise FM,
It's
it's,
Praise FM.
And what's going to happen is, we're going to go forward with that. This year, listen to me. Listen to me. Beside media, beside radio, beside magazines, this year I want to take Messiah to TV, to commercials in TV. That's in my mind, and we are going to make it happen. I'm already calling a company to make a commercial. We need to do something that can, listen, I'm sorry that I have to say this. You know how IRS see us? Like a business. And we need to act like a business if we want to be successful. We are competing with about 200 churches in this town, all right? And people don't know who Messiah, I didn't know who Messiah was, all right? And I used to pass over here for 20 years, all right? But now people know. The other day, the manager from the radio called me, and he asked me, may I speak with Messiah CIA manager of the church? So they know already that we are here. Okay? So, listen, we are not going to miss Lutheran or Missouri Synod, none of that. It's to make a church for people to remember. You know, like our name in Spanish is huge. It's Centro Internacional de Alabanza. Nobody's going to remember that. That's why we are called CIA. People remember that, and so forth. But we are going to be under Lutheran, Missouri Synod. Yesterday, we got about 3 calls over here. And when they called, I said we are from the Missouri Synod. Lutheran from the Missouri Synod, and so forth. People already are calling over here. Okay? And when I'm here, I answer. And when she's here, she answers.
Somebody on Saturday I answer too.
All right. Somebody raised...
What's CIA mean anyway?
International Worship Center.
Now this is Messiah Lutheran Church, and they come here to use our church. Why do you want to change the name of our church, which is Messiah Lutheran?
No, that's what he was trying to say. We don't want to change the name. We want to put the politics together. We are not using the church. This is one church. CIA is a Spanish ministry that started over here, and we were working together in the church. Now I'm the pastor, both churches. Okay? I don't want to say that I have 2 churches. I want to say that I have 1 church. We have 3 different services that probably fit to different cultures, but it's 1 church. So the culture of CIA is the name. The culture of Messiah is the name. So we thought, we're thinking, it doesn't have to happen, It's just,
Or it could be other things.
it was an idea that maybe we can, instead of erasing the names, we can use the two names in one so we can impact the community so they know who we are. That we are a church not that just serve an English-speaking people, but also that serve Spanish-speaking people.
Is the CIA part of this budget?
No, it's not. No, it's not, and that's why I'm talking about the politics.
Where does their money go?
Their money go to another fund, and they deal with that fund in a different way. Because when we came over here, we came as a church. We didn't come, though I was by myself at the time. We built a church, and we have our 501c, and we have everything structured already. So as we grew with a church that was structured already.
Pastor, that's part of what we're wanting to do is combine, like the profits and everything.
One budget.
One group, so that everybody knows where all the money's going. Everybody knows everything about both churches, if you want to call them both churches. That's why one reason why we want to do this. Is to combine everything, so everybody knows where everything is and where it's going and what's happening. And
if we do the politics,
it would be so much easier.
Yeah, if we do the politics, if we do everything together, then it's going to be one fund. But remember, we have elders, we have treasurer, we have leaders in this other group. Okay, what we want to do is to put the two groups together to do one. Then when that happens, when all the politics change, then the finances is going to go to one fund.
I always thought that's the way it was, and that's the way it should be.
It should be, and that's why we're working.
There should not be two churches in this building. There should not be two churches in this building.
Well, you have to remember that when I came in as I was invited. I didn't come to rent the church. I was invited to come over here and use the facilities. It happened to be that God had other plans for me, and it developed some other way. And that's what we're trying to do now. I became the pastor, and I said to the leaders, this is what I said last year, I'm going to give myself 1 year to see if I can be the pastor of this church. If I cannot be the pastor of this church, if you don't like me, you let me know, I stand back and I go somewhere else. If I don't like it, I will let you know, I'm going to stand back and I go somewhere else. But now that we are getting the consensus together, we know that we have done a good job together and so forth. We accept the finances, everything else we do together. Absolutely everything else. We do services together. The 12:30 service always cleaning the church, cleaning the surrounding, doing the work and so forth. So it's not that we are independent work. No, we're working for the same thing. But now that part that have to do with finances, that have to do with politics, have to be together. And we need along the line. And I have to take this to the other group too. Okay? And I have to have this conversation. And probably I will have somebody that will tell me the same thing that you're telling me. Well, that's why we're doing it. And I know it's going to be a little bit hard, but I think it's possible. Any other questions?
The Catholic Church does it.
Huh?
The Catholic Church does it. They have the Hispanic and all under one roof.
The bottom line is, we're here to bring people to Christ.
Yes.
It's not our little personal club.
Right.
So listen. I believe that this church is alive for what happened this year. We ignited something over here. We need to go. I give classes to the leaders. This year, I put the deacons of one church and the elders of one church, put it together, and I give them a class. Because we need to understand what we're doing over here. And what is the vision of the church. The vision of the church is to edify people so they can honor God with their life. And one of the things that I tell the leaders, and I do meet with them at least 5 to 6 times a year to teach them in the way that we should go, is that we need to grow in the same mindset, because if we have turmoil inside the church cannot go forward, cannot move forward, because we have to pay attention to the turmoil. So if everybody is in the same mindset, then we can look to the future and we can walk together to the future. I want to make this happen. Now it's up to the two groups, because I'm not a dictator. I cannot come and dictate that, okay, you have to change the name, then I have to go and dictate to the other group, you have to change the name. No. We are putting this, and if you guys like it, if they like it, then we can call a CPA, because this can happen, you know, that other service is set up already with the IRS, with everything that has to do with government. And this church the same way. So now we have to bring a CPA, somebody that is professional, to think how we're going to put this together in one, and it's going to take a while, and it's going to take money to make it happen.
Thank you. When you mentioned what CIA stood for, that was easy for you to say. You know, this is all God's plan.
Amen.
He's calling on us. And what a beautiful thing to have a pastor, Pastor JR, who sees what's ahead of us. But again, God is promoting this through him and through us.
Amen.
If anybody has any other questions, the meeting is now adjourned. Now that we re-elected the treasurer, we're all...
Dave, your time is coming, buddy.
Are we finished?
Yeah. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you guys. Let me pray.
Just a second.
Let me pray.
Yes. Pray. Yeah, let's pray.
Dear Father, I come to you in the name of Jesus. I thank you for the opportunity that you are giving us to build in this place. 35 years in this place, in this community. Lord, we are about to go where we have not gone before. We are about, Lord, to do things that we never did before. Because it is your plan to not just revive. This church is revived already. Lord, is to go to the next dimension, to the things that we need to do. I pray that you touch the heart of every single member in this church, regardless the service that they attend, for them to love this church, for them to give their talents to this church, and for them, if it's pleasing to them, to give for your kingdom to the things that we are going to be building over here. This is a great year. This is a year where we are going to see amazing things, and we want to work together for your glory and your honor. Dismiss us now to our homes in the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen.